All right, what's going on? Here we are again with another episode of Emerge, the real estate podcast. And I am your host, Aleem Bakari. And man, I tell you, I'm excited about today's guest. I have someone that I believe is going to share a tremendous amount of knowledge with the audience today. I'm telling you, I hope that your eyes are open because this is a tremendous opportunity. I have an opportunity to interview someone that works for one of the probably the top real estate companies in the world. Yes, in the world. And so I am fortunate today to have with us from Collier International, Michael Tran, and he's in the capital markets division, primarily focused on office and industrial. And so this broadcast today is brought to you, of course, by Victory Capital. And you know, at Victory Capital, we do one thing and one thing only, and that is we connect investors to capital. So if you are an investor in need of capital to fund your project, check us out, www.victorycapital.com, and that's spelled Viktory. Yes, victory with a K. All right. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Michael Tran. How are you, sir?
Well, thank you for having me.
Man, I am so glad. I am honored to to have you, just based on the conversation with our good friend. He said, man, I know the perfect guy that you need to introduce. And so I just want to thank you for taking out the time to spend with me today. So if you can, why don't you tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Michael Tran. I'm in the capital markets here at Colliers International in Dallas. My team, we primarily focus on office and industrial investments throughout Texas. I've been in the industry for about 5 years and started off leasing office projects and sold a few industrial projects as well when I was at a previous company. And then once I realized that, doing the office industrial stuff is a lot more straightforward. And so I felt like it was just a natural transition. I had a feeling Amazon was going to make a big push on a lot of retailers. And so I made the switch to office industrial only. And it's been a good change. And a lot of my colleagues have told me I'm good at predicting the future. And here I am.
Okay. All right. Good deal. So if you can kind of take a few minutes and break down when you say office and industrial, if you can tell the audience what kind of space that you specialize in.
Yeah. So on the office side, there's a lot of different subsections of it. So, like, let's say there's medical office, there's general office, and there's also like stick and brick office that look like houses, and then you have your mid-rise office, and then your office towers.
Okay.
And so I've had experience with all of them, and I primarily focus on the office parks, anything 30,000 square feet and above. And then on the industrial side, you've got flex buildings where you have like small bay, 2,000 square feet generally, little spaces that can service for an HVAC company, a plumbing company, your pool guy, landscaping, concrete. Some people have commercial sign companies in there, or just general construction, or any type of use that just needs a very small office and more warehouse space to store their larger stuff. And then you also get your tilt wall construction, which for industrial where you need higher ceilings. So I've seen larger construction companies use those. There's some big distributors, and we're also getting closer to the last mile distribution guys, where Amazon takes the space, and generally that's anywhere between 2 to 10 miles away from its end destination point. And our team focuses on it all. We have an 8-man team, and so we can cover all types of the office and industrial sectors.
Okay. All right. Good. Good deal. So within that, what kind of what kind of opportunities are you seeing? Because before the show, we've kind of touched base on that. So kind of tell me some opportunities that you're seeing, because I believe this, I am not an expert in the office and industrial, but I do watch trends, and I'm watching what's going on with COVID and the effects that it's having, and I'm seeing that it may affect one group this way, but then it creates an opportunity for someone else. So what kind of opportunities are you seeing out there for two groups of people, a real estate investor and then say a business owner that is probably leasing a space that would really want to move from being a leaser a leasee to owning their own space? What kind of opportunities are you seeing?
Yeah. So where do I start? There's so many ways, but I'll start off with your general investor, somebody who is looking for a stabilized asset, something that they can kind of just buy and it's already cash flowing, where they don't have to put in a lot of work. So that's just your regular. So there's going to be 3 sections to this, and it's going to be your general investor who likes stabilized assets, and you've got your others that actually like being hands-on with their project and creating value. So something that may be like anywhere between 25 to 75% leased, and they go in, they rehab or get the spaces leased up, and they build value that way through generating more income for the building, running it efficiently, and then they stabilize it and they cash flow it maybe for a little bit, however long everybody has a different projection or plan, but they can be anywhere between, holding it from 1 year after they stabilize it to, 5-7 years. And then they'll sell it after they create the value, maybe to that investor who doesn't want to do all that work. And then now a lot more people are finding out about SBA loans. And so with your SBA loan, you just have to take up 51% of the building, and you can put 10% down. And like I was telling you before the show, one of my friends growing up, they put their business in a retail center, and they put an SBA loan down, and they owner occupied more than half of the buildings they were in. It's a retail center. And after, Amazon kind of came into fruition, they moved their business to warehouse, and then they released that space. So that's a huge opportunity, even after, after you maybe downsize your business or you have to pivot. But that's a really good way to get into real estate and becoming the landlord and, creating value or long-term wealth by having an asset that, that's obviously going to appreciate, one, because you're there, and 2, you can put in tenants yourself. And then you get to learn, okay, here's this type of lease. How do I get more reimbursements on my expenses? So like maybe you have the tenant pay you back their electric portion, or you go back, okay, now you got to pay your own utilities. You got to maintain your own space. Typically in office, the tenant just reimburses for electric and maybe a little bit of the security fee if there's security on site or something along those lines. But those are really good ways to get into real estate. And a lot more people also have been finding out that you can do an SBA loan on a self-storage facility as well. And so, yeah, you get, 10% down, you run the self-storage facility, and you're on site, you're there, a lot of people like that. It's secure. And, self-storage facilities have also become very popular throughout the past, 5-10 years as well, along with multifamily.
Okay. So some of the pushback that you hear about SBA loans is that, man, the time it takes. So has that changed? Are SBA loans still this grueling process that you have to go through, or have they streamlined it more?
They streamlined it. I had a deal that I was going to close right before COVID, and obviously it messed everything up.
Mhm.
But it was very streamlined. They had everything ready to go. They understood the buyer. They understood the buyer's business, what they were going to do with the building. It was very easy, honestly. And the only reason why we had to stop the transaction was because the product that was going to be shipped here for the business was stuck in China, and obviously nothing was moving at that time, and nobody was working over there. So
Oh man.
there was no way we were going to get anything done. And so we had to stop everything there. And then, they ended up releasing the space to a car user who could, convert the warehouse into more like 5 or 6, 7 bays. And then, but they still got they could have gotten an SBA loan on that equipment as well. So it just really depends on what they were looking to do. But there's so many ways. And a lot of people are finding out that your returns, especially in office, have been higher. Industrials, the cap rate's getting compressed. But in office, if you look at it, it's getting where, your cap rate's 8 and maybe up to 10%.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And if you're, half of our buyers last year were multi-family investors, and they're used to buying stuff at maybe a 4 or 5.
Fives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's going on? What's the secret over here in office? And I was like, look, guys, it's the same thing as multifamily, but we don't deal with Fannie and Freddie. But that, so that's why, a lot of people are discovering office might be a way to come back, even though people are saying, people are going to work from home now. In reality, we still have to social distance if we go back to the office.
Mm-hmm.
So if we downsize, we have to still make sure that there's enough space between everybody for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's going to help mitigate the shrinkage of people working from home, but also the people who do go in, they can still collaborate. They're still far enough away from each other, but now instead of being in 75 square feet, they got to give these people about maybe 100 or more just to make sure it's safe for everyone, and convert, like, let's say a conference room into a permanent workspace.
Mm-hmm.
That, since everybody's doing what you and I are doing right now on a Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this brings up another question for me. What about these co-working spaces? Is there an opportunity there to where someone could buy a office building and say create a co-working space for people that need somewhere to come?
Yeah. So co-working right now, they may be struggling, and you're hearing about WeWork and all that.
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
Honestly, after this is all over, and I spoke to VentureX North Dallas recently, and Nadeem Ahmed, he runs VentureX up there, and he has been getting inquiries for people coming back, and also he's saying companies are reaching out to him. They're flexible. They're wanting to find out more about flexible workspace, how it works. Okay, now my employee does not need to drive to downtown CBD, or take the bus or the train and ride the elevator and potentially catch COVID. Now I can give them a membership here. They don't have to drive all the way to the office, and I don't have to pay for them to park in the garage monthly anymore. It brings down my office expense, and they're already built to run on a virtual conference room. They already have a podcast room. They have been ready for this co-working's really been around for a long time.
Right.
Since I got in the industry, and even before that. But even now, everybody's starting to really notice that they were built for this a long time ago. And so they're going to make a comeback. Companies are going to like that they have flexibility in their lease with these co-working companies. And most of the ones that I've surveyed, honestly, their occupancy usually stays very high if they're within market rates.
Wow. That's awesome. So again, I want to go back to, so you're saying that SBA loans are the way to go for the real estate investor, for the business owner. That's the route to take because of the 10%, the 10% down. So you get to leverage that the 90%.
Oh yeah, for sure. If I mean, if you have $1 million sitting around and you just want to, not be
Of course.
liquid, yeah, that's fine if that's your goal. But I personally would do the same, do 10%, and then go make a successful business model, or get it to where maybe I take 51%, or maybe I take 60% of the building, or maybe I just open a co-working concept in there and then I take the whole building. It just really depends on how hands-on you want to be and what your current business is. Um, the one building I have now that's vacant, it was a call center, and now a medical doctor is coming in there because lending on medical very popular right now, and obviously medical is a very desired use with COVID being around. Everybody sees that is almost as stable as industrial coming out of all this.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a pretty good rate, I believe. I don't know the exact rate, but they did an SBA loan, almost didn't have to do any. Well, the doctor said, they almost let me do this loan without putting anything down, man. They're so aggressive with me. And I said, yeah, you're a doctor. Obviously, we're going to work with you to do that. But even your regular guy, he can go in if he's got a good business model and good experience, he can get approved. And, as long as he follows by what his plan is, I think he'll have a successful business as well. I've seen it done many times. A wheelchair company I worked with, Performax, they build custom performance wheelchairs for athletes, and a few really good tennis players in the wheelchair circuit use them. And I got to see their whole operation, and they were leasing 2,000 square feet. Then they moved up to 5,000, and then I last helped them on a 15,000 square foot industrial transaction in Arlington. So it was a really fun deal to work with because I got to see what they do, and I got to see like the material being made and all the stages and stuff like that. It was very fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So it sounds like man, if I was a real estate investor and or a business owner, and I'm looking to build my team, I would need somebody like you on my team. What value do you bring to a real estate investor?
There's so many things, but the main one is, understanding an area. So like there are little pockets around DFW where, leasing velocity is low. There are parts of DFW where they advertise, hey, we're getting deals done here at, $20, $30 a foot. And in reality, that's not the case. Like there's, the real market value is getting leases done at, maybe 18. And what kind of concessions are they doing? So now you have to look at it. You were the leasee. And then now if you're going to be leasing space to these people, if you're going to be the landlord, you have to look at, okay, so what's market rate? How do I stay competitive here? And where are people actually getting deals done? Okay, now this other guy's coming to me. He's telling me, oh, he can go get a space here and get 6 months of free rent, when we all know that's not true. So I used to lease, and understanding that alone can create so much value if you're structuring the leases right and you're still being competitive where you can get the tenant in your building. Because honestly, once you move somewhere, you don't really want to move again. I've moved like 4 times in my life, and I don't want to move anymore. And in the next 3 years, I might have to move again. But, nobody wants to move after they get to a space, and, you can show them, hey, I'm an owner who's here, and I'm not some big institution where we have to pass approval upon approval upon approval to finally get this leak in the ceiling fixed. Like that's what a lot of people are worried about, is like, okay, do I have somebody who's hands-on on site, or do I have this guy who's in California who doesn't know what's going on with his property? That alone can save you so much heartache, and just making sure you have a full building compared to the rest of where you're at. Because we've seen it so many times in office. If you don't have the correct underwriting, there's so many little line items below what you're seeing on the surface that will eat you alive. And that's where it takes away your profit. And then you're running a building that has no value, and you're breaking even every month. And you're like, why did I buy this? And we've seen it several times, and we've had to help people get out of that situation. And so those are two really big reasons alone. And I can't harp on them enough, because I've seen it happen so many times. It really like makes me sad when I'm looking at an expense sheet and I'm seeing how this owner has been, just put through the ringer, and just poor representation, and somebody who's probably just trying to get a deal done and get their commission to move on. I see that too many times in the industry where, I know those brokers won't last long, but also I feel bad because I didn't talk to that owner first, or I wasn't able to reach them beforehand. And that's actually when I feel like I've failed, because I know I work hard already, but when I can't go and help somebody get what they need, or how they could have prevented that, because it's so easy to do and it's just a few steps, but some people just don't say anything about it and they just let it happen.
Right.
But yeah, that's honestly two really big reasons. I could probably go on for another 30 minutes, but
I can just imagine, because I got my hat brought to me just on a residential portfolio, starting out fixing and flipping, and not all of these unforeseen expenses comes along, and you didn't have anybody to tell you, hey, you might want to look at this and look at that. So that is invaluable. That is invaluable. And it sounds like office and industrial is a lot like multifamily, in that there's a lot of items, a lot of line items that can affect your NOI. Would that be a correct assumption of it?
Oh yeah, I had an owner I helped with like an 80,000 square foot office building, and I was like, hey, just let me look at how it's being run right now. Let me see if there's something wrong. And so I'm going through, and something kept coming up, and I was like, his expenses are running really high. And I was like, he's only getting reimbursed for this, but his electric is still through the roof, and it's none of the tenants in here because they're all reimbursing him. So why is his electric bill so high? So I'm sitting here talking to him, and I'm like, dude, like, why is there an extra $7,000-8,000 higher on your electric bill? Like, what's going on? And he's like, I don't know, Michael, like, let me look into it. I said, this is not normal. Like, really look into this. And so that, he took it back, got back to me like 3-4 days later. He's like, yeah, you're right. There's like an HVAC part that was broken. And so it was allowing it to run 24/7. And I was like, I don't know anything about HVAC, but yeah, definitely that electric bill was high, and you weren't collecting on that. So there's, an extra $7,000-8,000 in value. And that raises his property's purchase price. It was not in a bad area. It raised it another $200,000 in value. So, I mean, one, we saved him the electric bill, and two, we brought up his final sales price or proposal price that we gave him up $200,000.
Wow. Yeah. So it sounds like and if I know the majority of the audience that I would have that would tune into into this podcast, it would probably be a big step to transition from being in a lease situation to a owner's situation. And so if I'm hearing if you're thinking about doing that, you need someone such as yourself on your team to help them make that transition, to kind of smooth it out, and to give them a sense of it's not as bad, or you have somebody walking alongside of you. Would that be correct?
Oh yeah, I mean, if we can be of some type of service or value, and provide that in any way, we'd love to, just because one, it's a passion of ours to, make sure we are intertwined with every single office or industrial building owner. That's something really big we want to be. And so, we don't mind being on your team. We don't mind advising you. And that's what we're here for. We do it every day. And it all takes us but maybe a couple of days to get back to you if you're asking us to really dig into something. So most of our answers we can get done, in the same day, just because we do it all the time. And I look at so many buildings.
Okay. So you talked about different pockets in this area, kind of going back to opportunities. So for say for a daycare owner or a construction company or a HVAC company, somebody like that, would you say that now would be a great time to start the process because of everything that's happening with COVID-19? Is COVID-19 creating opportunities for those types of business owners?
So, like, for example, daycares, I'm not sure because they're not an exact office type, but,
Okay.
They can really, I don't know what their business model is right now, especially with COVID and kids, being around each other. But yeah, that's definitely a business that I know cash flows. I know they crank money if they get enough kids in there. So that's definitely a very possible SBA program. Plumbing, construction. Oh yeah, because if they can if they're looking to build, because I know you can add construction onto that SBA loan, or if you can find a building that works for you, you probably know some type of vendor or plumbing or HVAC company that probably needs space. You can have them move in with you since you do so much work with them. A deal I'm selling right now, the interior design guys who redesign, interior finish outs, they knew a concrete company. And then the concrete company brought a landscaping company. And then the landscaping company goes to church with the baker that converted a flex space into a full-blown commercial kitchen. And the commercial kitchen guy brought a guy who does metal and does metal buildings or does metal work as well. And then that guy brought the sign guy. And so they all just work together anyways. And so everybody knows each other. And it eventually just fills up in itself because it's all synergistic relationships and businesses that work together on a daily basis anyways.
So they came together to buy an office space or an industrial space.
So they didn't buy it, but I'm saying that's what a construction company can do.
Right.
But there is, you can do something called a TIC where you all come together to buy something like that.
Okay. Or one person buys it and then just leases it out to other friends that may have businesses that may fit.
Oh yeah, I mean those construction guys, there's so much opportunity here, and there's so many or not GCs. There's a lot of GCs, but there's a lot of subs, and all the subs and all the divisions, and
right.
So many of them, they can all work together. That's what I feel on the industrial side.
Okay. Well, I knew that this was going to be a kind of a long conversation because, man, this could just go in so many different directions. But I hope that our audience sees that there is opportunity in the office and industrial space. So now, just to make sure, Mike, that we're clear. So you assist business owners and real estate investors in purchasing office and industrial space, not leasing it. Is that correct? Or do you do both?
I have a leasing background. It's not what I specialize in anymore.
Okay.
But I can look at something very quick for you, or if you are looking to relocate, Colliers does have an occupier service division, and they do a very good job. And then I specifically, our team, we work on investments. We work on value-add investments, or we also help developers as well. So,
Okay.
any major type of sale or buying transaction, we can definitely help you just because it's our bread and butter. That's what our team of 8 does on a daily basis.
Great, great. Well, man, good deal. So I'm going to wrap this up with a couple of what I call rapid fire questions. All right. So these don't need any long, in-depth answers. Just something just straight off the cuff. So real quick, a client comes into town to see you, and you're going to show them some office and industrial space. When they want to go to lunch, or they're hungry, where would you take them? What's your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant is going to be Zheng Chi in Richardson. It's
Okay.
a Chinese restaurant. It's very good.
Jang Chi.
Yeah, Jengchi.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. All right. All righty. And then what books right now are you currently reading?
Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount.
Oh, I need that one. Can you say that again?
Fanatical Prospecting,
Okay.
and it's by Jeb, Jeb Blount, Blount.
Okay. Okay. Fanatical prospecting. And I guess in your line of work, you do a lot of prospecting, I would presume.
Yes, all day, every day, nonstop phone calls. And then if I'm not, I'm just making new friends at the end of the day, anyways.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So good. So here's the last one now. I said that these were rapid fire questions. This one is a little deeper. So what would 28-year-old Michael tell 18-year-old Michael today?
28-year-old Michael now would tell 18-year-old Michael that one, you should have gotten started in real estate earlier. You can never learn too much in this industry. And two, um, as far as you get in real estate, don't forget where you came from, and always remember that you can always put in more work, because I was lazy back then.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Good. Good. So how can we, if someone is interested in working with you, somebody's interested in reaching out to you, how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, sure. My email for Colliers is m.tran@colliers.com, colliers.com. And then my cell phone is 817-501-0024. You can also look for me on Google. Just type in Michael Tran Colliers or something. I should pop up. And then there's also our team page, texasofficeinvestments.com.
All right. Good deal. Good deal. And I'll make sure that I put all of this in the show notes as well. So, Mike, one last thing. What's something that you would want to leave with our real estate investors and business owners? What would you like to close with?
No, if you guys honestly, we want what's best for the client. And, we talk about this almost on a weekly basis with our team, is making sure that, we always look out for our client, whoever we're working with, whoever we represent. You definitely want to reach out to us, because we have never been a fee incentivized team. We've never been all about just closing the deal. And that's one reason why I really like my team, is just because we have never let sharing a co-broker fee get in the way. We've never worried about, we helped renew a few tenants for some owners just because we knew that we're going to eventually work with them anyway. So that's one thing I would really preach and harp to you guys, just because there's so many people in this industry that don't look out for um, their client. And that's one thing that I know we do, and that's one thing that I want to make sure that we can do for everybody. So if we can work with you, we'd love to. And if the work's too much, we're going to just grow our team even more. 8 people is a lot, and I think there's a reason why we're doing as well as we are, just because of that main principle. It's not about fee; it's about taking care of your client first, and that's our fiduciary duty. So, feel free to reach out to us anytime.
All right, man. Well, again, thank you so much, and Mike, I wish you much success, man. And I hope that our audience reaches out to you. And I know if there's anyone that I know that's interested in purchasing an office or an industrial space, I will definitely put them in contact with you. Again, thank you so much for your time. And right before I sign off, I want to remind everyone that this episode of the Emerge podcast is sponsored by Victory Capital. We exist for one reason and one reason only, and that is to connect investors to the capital that they need. So look forward, stay tuned for the next episode. And Mike, thank you, man, for taking out the time.
Anytime, man. Thank you for having me on. You have a good
All right,
day.
All right, man. All right, you too. Thanks.
Take care.
All right, bye.